What's up, everybody? This is Greg, and today we're breaking sound at the Lion's Den Mastering Studio. Today, we're talking about gain staging. Gain staging is one of my favorite topics. I have a lot of people that ask me about gain staging. So whether it's I'm mixing and mastering for a client, I'm making my own sound, or I'm just doing sound design or mastering, I'm always gain staging. Now, keep in mind, people have different opinions on how gain staging is applied into mixing or mastering or even sound design. I'm just going to show you the little tips that I have and how it can possibly help you or benefit you. So, the idea behind gain staging is taking the sound, let's say my mid bass. I like to use the magic number -12. For whatever reason, to keep headroom in my tracks, -12 for all my mid basses have always seemed to work generally very good, and I can get the most out of my mix and master. And this all starts with the sound design process. So the idea behind gain staging is that if I start with a sound and it's at 6 decibels, let's say in serum, well, if I bring that back down in serum to -12, that's my starting point. As soon as I add a process, maybe an EQ to take away or to boost some frequencies, it takes the sound and it makes it either louder or more output gain, or it brings it down depending on cuts or boosts. So then what I would do is I would bring it back up to -12 to its original output gain. Let's say after that, I add some reverb to the sound for whatever reason. From here, it might make the sound quieter. Now, on a reverb, there may not be an output gain to compensate to bring the volume back up. Well, that's okay. What we can use is a utility behind the reverb to bring it back up. I may add a saturator instead of a reverb. It might make the sound louder, but it might also raise the output gain. Well, then from there, I would go on the saturation unit and I would turn the output down until it read -12 on either my master fader, or in this case, I like to use Voxengo span to kind of do my monitoring and leveling. So what we're going to do is we're going to jump in to Ableton, and we're going to take a look as I process some sounds from a new sample pack that I made. We'll gain stage it each way to see how the process or the sound is affected by the processing and the effects. All right, let's jump in and check it out. What I have here is I have a new serum bass sound that I've made from my new sample pack, The Reckoning, which will be coming out on Black Octopus Sound. I also have a kick drum. And we'll go over the two to just kind of, get two different versions of gain staging. So, as I said before, with serum, I like my mid basses to be around -12 dB of headroom, or the output gain at -12. I love to use Voxengo span in this particular instance because it really helps me just keep an eye out on the output versus having to look at the master channel. Let's play this and take a listen. As we can see, the master channel is currently at -9 dB. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to open up serum and I'll bring this down to -12. From here, I'm going to throw on an EQ, and we'll check this out. So, as you can see, when I added the EQ, cut out the sub, and then it took a lot of the volume or output gain down. Then what I did was I kind of soothed up the 3K range, and then boosted the top end, and then also boosted the mids to just kind of make the sound fatter. By doing this, it's lowered the volume with the cuts and with the boost. So on the EQ, I've taken the output gain and I've added 3.3 decibels to bring it back up to negative 12. So maybe from here, I want to add, let's say, a phaser. Now, I've added a phaser. There's no output knob on the phaser. So what I can do here is I can throw a utility. What if I want to add Ableton's infamous OTT? This has kind of altered the sound and made it quite a bit different. I'm going to turn up the time. It will help get rid of some of that nuisance that OTT builds up. So when I play the sound in a continuous loop, the average time is just 3 decibels or so above the original sound. So I'll take the output on the OTT, moved it down negative 1.5 dB, so that way we're back down to our negative 12 decibels. A lot of times when I'm using OTT, I like to throw another utility behind it, turn the bass into. Now, when I've done this, it hasn't necessarily added a whole or taken away a lot of volume. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the output gain. Now, let's take a listen to this. And let's take a listen to the difference before and after. See? So we've seen the effect that it has on the sound by gain staging, using different effects, processing units. The thing I like to add on top of this is a little bit of clipping, whether it be soft clipping, saturating, or even sometimes a little bit of limiting. I like to catch those peaks that travel above negative 12. This is how I use gain staging, to just add a little bit of perceived loudness to a sound, just to get a little more out of it. So let's take a look here. I've added a saturator. Now my saturator at default is at negative 12 with the output and at 13 drive. If I turn this to 12, in a sense this is almost like a unity. This is the sound without it being affected. Very, very minimally. It almost sounds identical to the original sound before the saturation's used. So now that I have my output set to negative 12 and I have soft clipping on, or we can use digital clipping, what I can do is I can drive 1 to 2 dB decibels. Never more. We don't want to cloud up the sound. 1 to 2 dB while keeping that negative 12 at negative 12. So I add 1 more decibel in drive. And look, it keeps it here. Now with Ableton Saturator, it kind of compensates for even a little bit less. So the reality is we can turn the out. Now let's take a listen to it with the saturator on and the saturator off. You can see that 1 dB of drive that goes into the saturator to help catch any of those peaks, smooths it out, but it also allows for a little bit more loudness. Let's take a look at the kick. So I have a kick from one of my sample packs, Retribution Dubstep. I'll leave a link below so you can check it out if you want. The sample is normalized, like most samples. So the first step I want to do is throw a utility on it and bring it down to -12. Now you can see I'm just under -12. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to raise this up a little bit. So now we're at -12 exactly. Now with kicks, I might want to add an EQ to take away a little of the extra low. Maybe cut the mid a little bit. Add a little bite to the top. As we can see, this has raised the volume of the kick above -12. So what I'm going to do is just bring it down using the gain inside the EQ. Maybe I want to add some compression to make the kick a little more punchier. As you noticed, gain didn't go up or down. Instead, it stayed at its same level. It's because I've let the transient of the kick pass through without being compressed, while just taming the body. But now, we've lost a little bit of loudness. So what we'll do here is we'll add some more saturation. I have mine set to default, -12 is the output, 13, and I'm going to turn this one to digital clipping. Want to add just a little bit more, so I'm going to drive it 1.5 dB instead of 1 dB. Let's take a listen and see how it sounds. So I've been able to take a kick that had maybe just a little too much bulk to it, make it tighter, punchier, maybe even a little bit louder in the perceived loudness, using compression, EQing, and saturation. So the idea again behind gain staging, making sure that each step of the way after each process, we're either bringing the volume back up to its gain or bringing it back down. This is Greg. You're breaking sound at the Lions Den Mastering Studio. Make sure you like and subscribe, and thank you for checking out the video. Peace out.